Imagine insisting on leaving your husband's family because you cannot bear the pressure, but wherever you go, you demand people treat you with the noble title that family bestowed upon you. It sounds truly contradictory, does it not? But that is exactly what Meghan Markle just did on television. Appearing as a guest judge on MasterChef Australia, Meghan did not hesitate to require contestants to create a dish worthy of a duchess. It is truly ridiculous. On one hand, she always loudly complains about the suffocating royal life and yearns to be completely free. But on the other hand, when needing to make money on reality shows, that Duchess label is bluntly used as a marketing tool. We need to look straight at the truth and recall the core of the Sandringham Agreement. When Harry and Meghan decided to step back from royal duties, the rule was set extremely clearly: they are not allowed to use their titles for commercial gain. Stepping onto a commercial television station, receiving a massive fee, and demanding others cook for you like a royal figure not only breaks the rules of the game, but also tramples over basic ethical boundaries. You cannot simultaneously deny your responsibilities and gather the most lucrative privileges to enrich yourself. Many say the media is being too harsh on Meghan, but the clear reality is that she is monetizing her royal label. And you, what do you think? Please comment number 1 if you see her as a victim, or number 2 if you agree that she is blatantly exploiting her fame. And to go deeper into the media picture of the Sussexes, right now, I invite you to uncover with me a comedy called The Illusory Halo of the Emmy Awards. When we talk about a person wanting to leave the past behind, their actions usually must align with their words. But in the case of Meghan Markle, it seems the royal past is something she wants to throw away in interviews, yet simultaneously wants to auction off on television programs. Right now, let us look straight at what just happened on Australian television. MasterChef Australia, one of the most popular and highest-paying reality food shows, just proudly put Meghan on air as a guest judge. There would be nothing to debate if this were just a normal entertainment event and she appeared as a former actress. But no, the television network did not invite actress Meghan. They invited the Duchess of Sussex. And the challenge for the contestants was announced in the most ostentatious way possible: create a dish worthy of a duchess. Let us pause for a second to expose the glaring hypocrisy here. Since packing their bags to leave the United Kingdom and settling in a multi-million-dollar mansion in California, the PR strategy of the Sussex team has always revolved around a core message: they are victims of that very title. Meghan has shown displeasure multiple times, even getting visibly offended when associated with the royal label. Close sources have revealed that she gets very annoyed when television producers accidentally call her a royal in front of the cameras. She always loudly claims she wants to be recognized by her own individual abilities, wants to be free, and wants to escape the iron cage of the monarchy. However, when the studio lights of MasterChef Australia turned on, the show script prominently featured a requirement forcing professional chefs to bow down and serve a duchess. In America, we call that hypocrisy. You cannot constantly go on television to criticize a family as terrible and then casually use the very business card of that family to seal lucrative commercial deals. Do you truly believe that a large-scale national television program would dare to print the words "dish for a duchess" on the script without the nodding agreement, or even the demand, from Meghan's own legal team? Definitely not. In Hollywood, every detail on a contract is thoroughly reviewed. She knew exactly what that challenge was called, and she agreed to participate in acting out that play. One must ask, if she truly wants to shake off the suffocating past in England, why cling so tightly to that title on a cooking show all the way in Australia? The answer is very practical and completely unromantic, because it makes money. That title is the only thing that helps her negotiate those massive numbers on the paycheck. And if we are talking about the truth, let us use solid numbers to evaluate whether this duchess truly has enough background to judge a royal dish or not. The media can paint a pretty picture, but mathematics cannot lie. Remember this number well: 22 months. That is the exact total time Meghan Markle actually worked as a senior working royal, counting from the lavish wedding in May 2018 until they turned their backs and left in early 2020. Just a mere 22 months. But wait, the reality is even worse than that. In those short 22 months, what was her time filled with? It was long holidays, personal trips on private jets costing millions of dollars, and also legal maternity leave. If you cross out all those days off, the number of days she actually woke up, put on business attire, and worked as a representative of the royal family can be counted on one hand. Even more remarkably, during that sparse working period, Meghan Markle never stepped foot into an official state banquet. Remember, national-level banquets at Buckingham Palace are where the true culinary essence of the monarchy is showcased. That is where the top chefs in the world prepare the most rigorous, most exquisite menus to welcome heads of state. Meghan has never sat there. She has never tasted the dishes that meet the highest standards of the British royal family. So, on what factual basis, on what set of culinary standards does she sit proudly in the judge's chair in Australia and judge whether the food of the chefs is worthy of a duchess or not? Could it be that her royal palate was shaped by roasting a chicken herself in the kitchen at Kensington Palace? Asking contestants to create a royal dish for her to score is exactly like taking someone who has never had a driver's license to be a judge scoring a Formula One race. It is completely absurd, grotesque, and lacks any factual foundation. The appearance on this cooking show is not simply an entertaining amusement event. It is the clearest proof that Meghan is tearing up the core commitments of the Sandringham Agreement. That agreement stated very clearly, they have the right to leave and seek financial freedom, but they are not allowed to commercialize the royal label. Selling one's personal image is everyone's right, but taking a title not created by oneself to package, label, and sell to a commercial television network is a blatant overreach. Her PR team might have pre-written sappy lines that she participated due to her love for Australia and passion for cuisine. But viewers are not naive. Everyone understands the rules of this industry. As long as the television network is willing to add a zero to the paycheck, all outrage about the suffocation of the royal family can be temporarily put away in a drawer. And to see that these media calculations do not just stop at a cooking show, right now I invite you to join me in opening another story. From the story of cooking food on Australian television, we must return to America to witness an even more unbelievable media cooking maneuver, buying prestige with awards. If you have followed entertainment news sites over the past few weeks, you have surely seen Meghan Markle's PR team working at full capacity. People magazine and a series of friendly newspapers simultaneously ran proud headlines. Meghan's cooking show on Netflix officially receives an Emmy nomination. Hearing this, you would think she just created a television masterpiece, a cinematic triumph on par with the biggest blockbusters in Hollywood. The blind fans of the Sussexes immediately flooded social media, celebrating as if their idol had just conquered the pinnacle of fame. But in Hollywood, the Guinness-tree insiders just look at each other and sneer. Because the truth behind that Emmy nomination label is a naked comedy about a pathetic demotion. We need to clarify a harsh truth about the American television industry. The award Meghan is nominated for is not the Primetime Emmy, the prestigious award for shows broadcast during prime time, where the true giants of the entertainment industry compete. No, Meghan's show was pushed down to the Daytime Emmy category, which is the award for programs broadcast during the day. To make it easy for you to imagine, daytime television is the playground for low-budget, small-scale projects, usually aimed at the housewife audience, who turn on the television just to have background noise in the house. The fact that a project positioned as exclusive content on Netflix has to compete in the daytime category is a direct slap to Meghan's ambitions. Look at the list of her opponents: a different breed, George to the rescue, the motherhood. Be honest, have you ever heard the name of any of these shows? Being placed on the same table with almost unknown programs shows where the true quality of this cooking show lies on the American television map. This pathetic situation becomes even clearer when we bring numbers out to talk. Do you know how much money this project cost? The press exposed the investment figure reaching up to $80 million, along with a massive production team consisting of 80 staff members standing behind the cameras. In Hollywood, $80 million is the budget to produce blockbuster theatrical movies or high-quality primetime series. With 80 staff members, you have an entire army from directors, screenwriters, lighting, sound, to culinary experts. Yet, what is the result of that huge pile of money? A dull, forced program that was thrown straight down to the daytime award category. Pouring out $80 million just to share the table with small entertainment shows, is this a proud success or a pathetic step backward that the PR team is trying to cover up? Anyone working in television knows nominations for minor awards can absolutely be lobbied for using money. The production team buys advertisements targeting the voters of the judging panel in exchange for a face-saving nomination. But no matter how good they are at lobbying, they cannot hide the disaster in terms of content. American audiences are very practical. They turn on a cooking show to watch skills, to watch culinary art, not to watch a former actress stand posing in the kitchen. And what Meghan shows off on screen is truly a nightmare for anyone with basic knowledge of cooking. The audience had to drop their jaws in astonishment seeing her step into the kitchen with her long hair hanging loose and messy, not tied up neatly at all. Even worse, she wore expensive jewelry all over her hands, and carelessly used those bare hands to knead raw chicken meat. You did not hear that wrong. Raw chicken meat. Any normal homemaker knows the #1 rule in the kitchen is to avoid cross-contamination of bacteria from raw poultry meat. But Meghan just calmly used her bare hands to squeeze the chicken, let her hair touch the food, ignoring all minimum principles of food safety and hygiene. Netizens immediately called her by the sarcastic nickname Salmonella Sussex, the Duchess of Intestinal Bacteria. Someone who calls herself a culinary expert, passionate about cooking, yet does not know how to hold a knife properly, does not know how to zest a lemon, and turns the kitchen into a hygiene hazard. The consequence of that disastrous performance came very quickly and was not at all surprising. The program was boycotted and the viewership ratings hit the bottom. Despite the grand initial promises about special episodes for Thanksgiving or Valentine's Day, everything evaporated. The broadcasting network quietly pulled the plug, canceling the show right after the first part. To save face, the PR team used a cheap trick. They divided the 16 pre-filmed episodes into 2 halves, airing them apart over a period of time to trick the public into thinking the show had been renewed for a second season. But the truth cannot be hidden. No second season was ever filmed. The project died prematurely because it was too bad. Trying to cling to a daytime award nomination does not prove Meghan's talent. It only proves the desperation of a money-making machine that is running out of ideas. Her career in America is clearly heading into a dead end. So what about healing the family? Let us see how they turn a visit to a sick father into a news-leaking play. If there is one phrase whose meaning is most distorted in Harry and Meghan's dictionary, it is definitely privacy. In America, we understand privacy as closing the doors, keeping all personal matters away from the curiosity of the public. But for the Sussexes, privacy seems to carry a completely different definition. It is the right to leak the story to the press according to their exact intentions. There is no clearer proof of this hypocrisy than the recent meeting at the Highgrove residence. The global media was in a frenzy when news broke that Prince Harry rushed back to England to visit King Charles immediately after the health condition of the king was announced. On the surface, the team of Harry wanted the public to see this as a purely family moment, a son putting aside all differences to fly back to his sick father. Articles quickly sprang up like mushrooms, describing this as a top-secret, deeply personal meeting arranged like an intelligence operation to bypass the public. But let us stop and use a little logical thinking. If that was truly a top-secret meeting, why did the Sun newspaper get minute-by-minute accurate sources about the schedule of Harry? Why could journalist Katie Nicholl of Vanity Fair magazine publish an account so detailed that it described both the emotions and every single move of the insiders? In Hollywood, or anywhere in the entertainment industry, the rule is very simple. There is no exclusive article naturally born without an inside mouth deliberately leaking the news. This is a classic public relations play that we have seen over and over again. The Sussex side simultaneously cries out for absolute privacy while secretly dialing friendly newspapers to navigate public opinion. Let us look at how the article of Vanity Fair was cooked up. That article cited an unnamed source claiming that King Charles hid this meeting from everyone to protect Harry. This source even went as far as claiming that the king did not give prior notice to Prince William, and only called Queen Camilla at the last minute to tell her to rush over. Do you find this script ridiculous? A king of England, with a schedule tightly planned down to the minute by dozens of senior aides, sneaking around to arrange an appointment behind the back of his wife and his heir, just to meet the son who turned his back on the royal family. That is entirely the sensational thinking of television drama screenwriters, not how the real world operates. What is the true purpose of leaking this garbage information? It is for the public relations team of the Sussexes to sow into the minds of the public the thought that Harry is still the most pampered son of King Charles, and the king is willing to cast aside both William and Camilla to prioritize him. They want to create a fake media victory by trampling on the rest of the family. However, the truth is always exposed through solid numbers, not through public relations articles bought with money. Let us look at the actual time the two of them, father and son, sat down together. Let us remember, how long has it been since they had a proper conversation? 4 years. 4 years since Harry and Meghan left. 4 years engulfed in smearing interviews on American television, a documentary on Netflix used to defame the family, and a memoir exposing all the most private secrets that a father could share with his son. And after 4 years of separation carrying all that damage, how long did that family reunion touted by the press last? Exactly 60 minutes. 1 hour. In the business world, 60 minutes is just enough for a job interview. In social relationships, 60 minutes is the amount of time you sit and drink a social cup of coffee with an old acquaintance you are not very close to. It is absolutely not the duration for healing the deep emotional wounds between a father and a son. The fact that King Charles limited the meeting to 60 minutes is an extremely cold and clear message. This is a formal reception of a guest, not the open, armed welcome of a son returning home. This truth becomes even more brutal when we look at the logistical context. Harry had to sit on a plane for over 10 hours to travel from California across the Atlantic Ocean. Any normal father, seeing his son wade through such a long distance, would tell his son to put away his luggage, take a shower, and rest at his house. But that did not happen. At this point, you should ask yourself, if it was truly a sacred family reunion, why was the son not allowed by the king to sleep at the residence of his father for even one night? The British royal family owns dozens of mansions, hundreds of empty rooms with a service force on duty, 24/7. Arranging a place to sleep for Harry is as easy as flipping a hand. But the doors of the royal residences slammed shut in front of him. After a 60-minute countdown, Harry was forced to leave, finding his own way to a hotel room in London to spend the night, before rushing to the airport to return to America the very next day. What is the reason behind this decisive action? Very simple. Trust has become zero. King Charles understands very well. Any moment Harry is allowed to stay overnight could turn into material for the next book, documentary, or interview of the Sussexes. You cannot allow someone who constantly sells out family secrets to sleep under the same roof as you. Refusing to let Harry stay is not just a security rule, but it is also a realistic slap right in the face of the calculations to use the royal image to polish a name. The leaked articles can use the most beautiful words to describe this meeting, but the short 60 minutes and having to carry a suitcase to a hotel completely stripped away the play. It proves that the Sussexes no longer have any privileges when stepping foot back into the United Kingdom. They are just visiting guests strictly according to the appointment, and must immediately leave when the clock runs out of time. While the Sussexes strive to use every trick to turn the short 60 minutes into a public relations victory, King Charles has a move that turns the tables without needing any noise at all. Let us temporarily forget the suffocating atmosphere of media manipulation tricks, leaked articles bought with money, or the endless complaining from California. Right now, I want to take you back to the real world, where respect is built with concrete actions and not through flashy outer shells. This past week, King Charles had a trip to the Isle of Man. There were no ostentatious entourages, no pre-arranged paparazzi hiding in the bushes, and absolutely no calling to leak information to Vanity Fair magazine to polish a name before the event took place. He went there simply to do his job, serving the public. Here, the camera lens accidentally captured an extremely valuable moment, accurately portraying the true character of the king and dealing a fatal blow to all efforts to smear him for so long. Let us look at this solid number, 104 years old. That is the age of James Finton, a veteran who participated in World War II, one of the rare living witnesses left of the fierce Burma campaign. When the two men met, the difference in class or status was completely blurred. On one side is the monarch of the United Kingdom, the head of the Commonwealth. On one side is an old soldier who dedicated his entire youth to the country. But in that moment, the invisible crown was put aside. They were simply two elderly men sharing with each other about the burden of time. When Mr. Finton expressed concern for the health of the king, King Charles did not evade or use the rigid coping words of politicians. We all know King Charles himself is also facing a vicious cancer, having to exhaust his energy through treatments. But instead of playing the victim, instead of demanding the world to pity him, he chose to joke with full humility. He smiled and said to the veteran in a light tone, "It is terrible when the body parts just keep falling off." Just a short, realistic joke, but its weight far exceeds dozens of expensive public relations campaigns combined. Do you see it? There is not a bit of blaming fate. There is no demand for the world to pay attention to his personal pain. King Charles uses his own physical weakness to create a sincere empathy with the old soldier. He completely removes the barrier of the throne, bending down to eye level with the people to prove that, behind the noble title, he is also just a normal human being, struggling with the harsh rule of birth, aging, sickness, and death, but never abandoning his responsibilities. Standing before a 104-year-old historical witness, does King Charles need a public relations team of dozens of people to prove his greatness and humanity? Definitely not. Authenticity never needs a spoon-fed script. It radiates naturally from the eyes, from the smile, from the way two men give each other respect from the bottom of their hearts. The king even humorously dispelled the atmosphere by teasing Mr. Finton. "Do not tell me you are also one of the people who used to dance with my wife." A charming, subtle joke. The 104-year-old veteran smiled brightly, the watching audience teared up, and even those who used to have the harshest view of the royal family had to nod and admit that the moment truly touched the heart. Now, let us put this authentic moment on the scale and compare it with what the Sussexes are doing. On the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, we have a Meghan Markle who had to spend $80 million and a serving team of 80 people just to stage a fake cooking show in order to reprice her Duchess label. We have a Prince Harry flying halfway around the earth, carrying a carefully calculated news-leaking script just to exchange for a cold 60-minute meeting and then crown himself a victim on the front pages of the newspapers. For what? To earn a few more lucrative contracts, to feed the industrial machine of playing the victim that is gradually running out of ideas in Hollywood. They can spend millions of dollars to hire top media crisis management experts. They can buy flattering articles in entertainment magazines, but they can never buy the authentic moment that King Charles just created at the Isle of Man. In America, our audience is extremely astute. We are too used to and sick of pre-programmed tears, the complaints of millionaires living in a mansion with more than 10 bathrooms but always whining about injustice. When the glamorous shell is stripped away, the only thing left in the public mind is practical action. King Charles has brought exactly that. He does not peddle his title to line his own pockets, he uses it to honor those who are truly deserving. He proves that the true power of the royal family does not lie in demanding others to serve him, but lies in the ability to serve and connect with the public. Respect cannot be bought with money or tricks. Between one side busy selling titles and one side silently dedicating, the royal picture is now too clear. And when that picture has been laid bare, we are forced to look straight at a harsh truth for Harry and Meghan. Their media game has officially come to an end. The American audience, those who once opened their arms to welcome them as pitiful victims seeking freedom, have now completely awakened. Let us look back at how the Sussex public relations machine has operated over the years. Initially, they had a seemingly perfect formula that raked in tens of millions of dollars. That formula consisted of 3 basic steps. Step 1. Play the oppressed victim. Step 2. Leak royal secrets or half-truths to friendly newspapers to create public waves. Step 3. Sign lucrative contracts with streaming giants to tell their truth. It worked very smoothly in 2021 with the shocking interview with Oprah Winfrey. The audience at that time was curious, sympathetic, and ready to listen. But in America, we have an unwritten rule. The audience loves stories of overcoming adversity. We support those who dare to stand up and rebuild their lives, but we have absolutely no patience for those who only know how to complain endlessly from year to year. You cannot sit in a mansion with more than 10 bathrooms in Montecito, surrounded by private bodyguards, enjoying the life of the ultra-rich, while your mouth constantly whines that the world is against you. The suffocation no longer comes from the British Palace, but it comes from the very way they chew over and over a worn-out script. The audience has seen through their tricks. When an anonymous article appears in Vanity Fair or The Sun defending Harry and Meghan, readers are no longer naive enough to believe that it was due to a close friend slipping up and revealing it. They know full well that it is an arranged move, an email sent straight from the Sussex Public Relations Office to manipulate the press. Credibility has hit rock bottom. You cannot play the role of someone yearning for privacy when you yourself are the source of spreading the personal information of others. The collapse of this public relations formula is most clearly shown through the numbers. Let us talk about the hard numbers to expose the hypocrisy here. Since settling in America and founding the Archewell organization, Harry and Meghan have changed their team dozens of times. From executives, media experts, personal assistants to experienced content producers in Hollywood, all have consecutively left them after only a short time of working. A revolving door of personnel constantly coming and going. When dozens of professionals cannot work with you, the problem does not lie with them, but lies with you. You cannot use public relations to salvage a core product that is broken. And there is another even more notable number, a number that strips bare the entire contradiction in their character, the number 0. From television interviews to the memoir, Harry and Meghan continuously demand that the British royal family be held accountable, publicly apologize for failing to protect them, for hurting them. Yet, In return, there has been exactly 0 apologies offered by the Sussexes for the hurt they have caused to their own family. There was not a single apology when they launched vague, baseless accusations on national television while the grandfather of Harry was lying on his sickbed. There was not a single apology for the grief of the late Queen Elizabeth in the final months of her life because of the noise they brought. They exposed the secrets of a father and brother, brought petty frictions between sisters-in-law to be mocked in front of millions of viewers to make money, but still consider themselves people of high morals. They demand understanding from the world, but refuse to take responsibility for their own actions. That selfishness cannot be covered up by any advertising campaign. After all those tricks, does the audience still have enough patience to watch part 2 of this playing the victim play? The answer is a definitive no. Their media empire is cracking. Spotify cut off a multi-million-dollar contract, and one of their executives even bluntly called the Sussexes grifters. The animated show of Meghan was cancelled by Netflix before it could debut. New projects are struggling to find a foothold, pushed down to cheap daytime entertainment categories. They are gradually running out of ammunition because the only thing they can sell are stories about the royal family. And when the royal family slams the door and refuses to communicate, the Sussexes have no material left to exploit. They gambled everything on taking down their own roots to build an independent empire. But they forgot that a brand built on a foundation of resentment, division, and selling out family will never gain sustainable respect from the public. The American audience is sick of being led by the nose. We have changed the channel. All the cards seem to have been turned face up, and the truth always has a way of speaking for itself. Let us look back at the entire picture we just dissected. The royal family has never been and will never be a commercial label for someone to casually print on a cooking apron or package up to sell for multi-million-dollar checks. True class does not lie in how well you go on television to complain about your suffering, or how skillfully your public relations team manipulates the press. True class always lies in practical dedication. It lies in the spirit of responsibility, in putting aside your personal ego to serve the community, exactly as King Charles is silently proving every day. Even while facing a serious health issue, he still puts aside all status barriers, stepping out there to sincerely converse and empathize with an old veteran. That is the true core value of a title, not the self-serving plays cooked up from Australia to America. We, the audience, are very practical. We judge people through actions, and not through whining words. It is time for this game of borrowing fame for profit to end, because the truth always has a way to expose itself. Thank you for taking the time to accompany me until the very last minute to expose these hidden corners. Do not forget to comment number 1 or number 2, as I asked at the beginning of the video, so we can debate right below. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss the next straightforward, uncompromising analyses. Goodbye, and see you again.